Exiting from her changing room after her shower, Ash found Karud sitting on her bed, playing one of the semi-wild cats that roam the mountain. Welcome back to Brilliant Shadows, everyone. Hope you're all doing well.
Oh, I didn't expect you to be here.
I wanted to talk.
A chill ran down Ash's spine, then a flash of anger. This is getting ridiculous. She couldn't go an hour without getting ominous chills.
You okay?
I'm fine, it's nothing. What did you want to talk about?
Prudence took in a deep breath.
You like Hector, I know. I don't. I don't like him, that is. I don't really know how I feel about him, though. I don't trust him, but I can't say much more.
Why did you kiss him then?
Ash shrugged.
What? You can't just shrug.
Would you rather I lie?
Prudence seemed to think for a moment.
Maybe.
She sighed.
Fine, just don't do it again. Next time you might try, we could be together.
Prudence.
Oh, this is important if you're using my actual name.
Please don't. Not yet. There's something about Hector I just can't trust.
Don't worry, I'll be careful.
Prudence got up, carrying the cat.
I'll see you at breakfast.
She gave Ash a smile and Ash returned it. Ash watched her go. She stood there, still trying to find something to ease her worries. With her mind a turbulent storm of thoughts, she couldn't quite manage to find an appetite and instead pulled out her notes. She would work on her research, or at least she would work on it until she felt better. She prayed that she would feel better. Okay, so it's obvious, to me anyway, that Prudence really likes Hector. And I don't know if that's because of the pair or not. 2 months later, okay, 2 months? That's a long time. The tendrils slowly uncoiled, the brown washing away, fading to a violent green. Then the leaf began to uncurl, its dry brown surface began to wash with emerald that seemed to stain, ebbing to a pure black. The plant stood as erect and tall as it had in life. The regret she had for letting it die 3 months ago began to fade.
I can't believe it worked.
Wait, what? Nope. Ash scrawled wildly into her notes as she spoke the same words aloud.
And it works in the exact same manner as reanimation.
What is going on? She stared at the mark, a phoenix mark on her hand.
Meaning that somewhere out there, my pair is supplementing my power. If they were only a bit closer, I could reanimate something larger. A tree, perhaps.
So we're using our pair's magic without them knowing?
That's rather amazing. It looks much healthier than anything else I have seen reanimated.
Elfnut stroked one of the leaves, cocking an eyebrow.
Yes, that's odd.
You're sure it's not like a golem?
No. You see, golems are completely different. They're not restored to any semblance of life. They're more like puppets.
Okay.
Yes, there's bodies underneath the armor or clay forms you often see them in, but that's because you can't even turn false life into false bodies.
Wait, there's bodies underneath the armor or... Oh, so you have to have a dead Ew!
There's just something about organic matter that lets it hold on to that spark.
Oh, could you make a tree golem?
I don't know. I'm not actually a specialist in golems. The only one I've ever made was during my trials.
You know, I could have used your help with the plants I kept in my room on the island. They're all dead, too.
Well, I'm not even sure of the practical uses of this spell yet. Are these plants, for example, safe to eat? Or can undead plants persist because they're... Will they eventually die again, like most reanimations? Or can undead plants persist because they're not constrained to such a delicately balanced body structure and system as what we typically reanimate?
Are you asking me?
No, I understand. You're still learning even the basics of paladin magic.
I've actually already advanced a class. Passed my trial so easily that my instructor is preparing the next set.
What is going on? Why does it keep going into that? Okay, let's just click over here.
Hector has been an excellent tutor.
Yes, I hear he's quite skilled.
Ash rolled her eyes.
I had thought you were avoiding them because of your feelings. but if I had known the advances you had been making on your research, I am sorry for assuming the worst. This is amazing.
Looking up from the plant, Elfnod gave a hopeful look.
Can I keep one?
Oh, yes, sure. Please do.
Thank you.
He lifted the black leaf plant and held it up reverently as he examined it.
Do you want to get breakfast?
It's breakfast time?
Were I to not know better, I would say you were spending too much time with Hector.
Yes, well, hopefully he's not still skipping sleep researching my mark.
No, that enthusiasm seems to be spent on his time with us.
How are you and Belinda getting along?
She's a good girl.
Belinda? This is the same Belinda, right?
She is. She's got a thick and spiky shell, but underneath it, she's just a girl who didn't ever expect to be here, let alone be here for as long as she has. She's actually quite sweet.
Now I'm convinced Hector found a way to manipulate people's minds.
No, I think that a few months spent with each other is enough to help you recognize the good parts of others, and to have them grow on you.
Elfnod gestured with the plant as he smiled.
Speaking of spending time, how much more time will Heck need you?
Later today is our last session, actually.
Ash raised her eyebrows.
The coincidences will never cease, eh? Do you want to attend the ritual? There's a lot of people who have heard about it. Even a few graduates have returned to the mountain to attend.
Yes, actually. I'd like to actually see what you have been working on.
You should bring one of your plants. Mr. Warlock would light like a pyre.
Light like a pyre?
It means to get excited. Witches used to have rituals where the very skilled among us would be burnt on a pyre.
What?
What?
There were components to protect them from the flames. I don't really know how it worked. I wasn't much of a witch, if you remember.
That sounds terribly useful. Immunity to flames?
I don't even know if it was those particular flames, or flames in general. Might have even been an illusion. No one did the ritual while I was there.
Oh, okay. Ash felt her stomach rumble.
I think I need to get some food.
I will go with you. Bring a plant. I'm heading to training right after.
Sure.
Ash chose a pot in which nestled a tiny black bush with a rose as dark as ink.
Let's go.
The two wove through the catacombs in the mountain and found their way into the kitchen. Outside, scattered across the tables that served as a dining table, the few remaining morning stragglers finished their meals. At one, Ash found Belinda sitting across from Hector and Prude. Ash grabbed a bowl of stew proffered by the tall, thin cook who stood behind the counter. He gave her a wide grin and a second helping.
I didn't see you yesterday. You can't skip meals.
Ah, thanks.
Knowing this person was worrying about her made her feel oddly content. She joined the group a moment later.
Hey, gang.
She might as well try to play nice. She missed Prudence.
We're a gang now? Ooh, I wasn't aware we were participating in illegal activities.
The comment garnered a laugh from the group and Prude lay her head on Hector's shoulder.
I honestly don't know if you're joking or asking, and somehow that makes it funnier.
The only thing criminal is the amount of studying I've done over my winter break.
I assure you there is no legal limit to studying, else I would have found it.
Belinda groaned, but her face brightened when Elfnod arrived behind Ash.
Mind if we join you?
Please, have a seat. Where have you been? I swear I haven't seen you in what must have been months.
I kind of got caught up in my research.
Wait, so she actually never came back by her room at all or anything? That seems very out of character.
Is that why you have that rose?
Hector's eyes widened.
Did you figure it out? Can I see it?
Ash offered the small pot and Hector took it with care one might handle the most fragile of glass.
Oh my.
Hector went silent as he buckled over the plant.
Well, I hope you didn't need to talk to him. He's going to be silent for the next half an hour just looking at it.
Prue gave the plant a glance herself.
Reanimation?
Yeah.
I thought you had to have your pair to perform reanimation.
There haven't been many tests to determine the range at which a pairing can share magic.
I estimate the upper limit is outside of any reasonable test range.
Oh, he's actually paying attention.
I know better than to ever completely ignore you.
Aw, that's sweet.
Ash was surprised at how little it bothered her to see Prude kiss Hector on the cheek.
Time is the greatest of healers.
What was that?
Nothing.
Looking across the table, she found surprise elsewhere, catching Belinda lay moon eyes on Elfnod. That couldn't end well.
So, what was the trick?
Trick?
I mean, how did you do it?
I'm still a little bit shocked he's actually talking.
There wasn't a trick. I had to completely develop a new spell type.
Would you be willing to teach it to me?
I might as well learn it too, if you're offering.
I think I want to do some more research before I start sharing the spell.
Ash braced herself, expecting Hector to refuse such a flimsy excuse. Instead, he nodded.
I understand. Just tell me if you need help.
Sure. Thanks.
So, Elfie, are you ready for the ritual?
Yes, of course.
What's so special about your session today? Elfnod said something about performing a ritual?
That's because we are. We're actually going to be performing the pairing ritual.
Ash's eyes grew wide.
Don't worry. They've actually done it twice before. And while they weren't well trained enough to complete it successfully, they were not compatible.
While they weren't well trained enough to complete it successfully, they weren't compatible. What?
I imagine the heads would attempt to stop me were they to think I would be creating pairs outside of the early ritual.
Hector, Warlock, what did I tell you about the heads?
Hector turned from the plant and blushed.
Treat my elders with more respect.
Yes. Now stop acting like you intend to overthrow the orders.
Yes. No, you are right. I am sorry.
Prue gave Ash a wink. Apparently she had tamed the savage beast.
Not that I couldn't if I wanted to.
Hector screamed to the hall in general. Mostly tamed, at least. Ash finished her stew and let out a sigh. She hadn't been eating properly and the extra serving had helped. The cooks were disturbingly observant sometimes. For a moment she wondered if there was magic to cooking, or perhaps the head cook Mistress Gasthund was some sort of head herself. Ash dismissed the idea and watched as Hector finished his third bowl.
Looks like everyone is here. Should we head straight to the garden?
They're very narrow in their kind of magic. They kind of just learn their own magic and that's it. They don't even learn any skills.
Can I keep the flower?
Sure.
I will call it George.
You don't need to name plants, Heck.
George!
Mostly tame. Okay.
I shouldn't need to tell you what to do. Begin.
This is the ritual? Belinda took in a deep breath and for a moment the garden hung in silence. Even after having been told, Ash was surprised to see she wasn't the only spectator. There were at least 24 students and judging by a few peers sticking to the back, at least 2 graduates. Elfnod flared with such an intense flaming white light that the grass ran through the crowd. The amount of power he produced so easily rivaled that of any graduate, and some of that made Ash flush with pride by proxy of her friend and recent confidant. Belinda took another deep breath and nothing happened to her. Elfnod's light began to pour forth, beginning to bridge the distance between him and Belinda. Hector's face was bleached by that light as his eyes darted wildly and he silently mouthed something. Belinda's third breath seemed to tear shadow from the earth beneath her, coiling up and around with tendrils of pitch darkness. Extending a hand, the tendrils coiled around her arm and reached outwards. That is beautiful. That, image of just the light touching the dark. Ash was shocked that 2 months ago these two had been remedial students. The control of their energy showed an amount of technique reserved for the likes of the heads. As soon as the two touched, there was a flare and an explosion. She had been prepared. Prudent Hector had warned her to brace herself, though he had not provided the luxury of warning that any of the other attendants. While the rest of the crowd was drawing themselves back to their feet, Hector looked over the pair with a smile of satisfaction.
8,312 meters.
Would you mind explaining exactly how you calculated that?
Came advice from the crowd. A commotion began to rise before a sudden bark of excitement broke over the noise.
I have a mark!
Silence fell like a hammer. Oh, they got a rose mark.
What?
Elton turned to Ash with a grin and revealed a black flower on the back of his hand.
Rather pretentious, no?
Belinda was beside him in a moment, showing Ash the same mark.
You have to teach me your spell now! It's fate!
The two exchanged hands, looking at each other's marks. Their eyes met and they smiled.
Well, Ash, we should probably pack. We're going to be thrown out.
Ash looked for Hector, already gone from where he had stood before.
Where did Hector go?
I told him under no circumstance would he be allowed to overthrow the orders, and that when we got thrown out, we had to leave. He said he needed to pack. Do you need anything specific from your room?
No, not really. I have everything I really need memorized. Clothes, I suppose?
Hey, there. A small part of her regretted not going to retrieve healing plants, but it was such a childish to cling to such fantasies.
Meh. My mother will buy us some new equipment.
Ash watched a number of the students began to retreat, fear on their faces. The graduate pair from earlier was gone.
Do you have any idea of what you have done?
I don't understand. They were able to successfully complete a pair. So what? Basically, they showed that anyone can pair up if they have enough training in magic. That it's not all, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the device from earlier. Ash looked for its origin, finding a thin woman bearing down on a retreating Hector.
The ramifications of this are far beyond any of your earlier antics.
Nyssa, this is not the time.
I am sure you think this will be seen as a good thing, but your variation of the ritual will be far from it. The ease with which your ritual can be performed will create situations where casters, entirely unprepared to become a mage, will pair.
And teach them.
The kind of power gained through a pairing will create pseudo-mages with far more power than training. I think we may be able to prevent this kind of behavior in the mountain, but can't you see?
Nyssa, stop.
The woman glared, remaining silent for a moment. Hector used the moment's silence to continue his retreat, and in less time it took her to continue her tirade, he was gone.
Fool.
Nyssa spoke as she watched him go. With a narrow pit of her eyes, she turned to meet the gaze of Ash. A shiver ran down Ash's spine as their eyes met, and she quickly turned away to let out a short string of sneezes over the shiver. Did she need to wear more layers or something? This is getting ridiculous. When Ash turned back, she saw Nyssa was marching towards her, purpose in her movements and expression. No, she was mistaken. She wasn't going to her. She was coming to...
Prude, is it? Prudence Celeste, royal princess and heir to the Celeste throne.
That's right.
I cannot determine from what little I know of you why you might be paired to someone like him. You certainly don't appear to be cut from the same cloth.
How can you...
Perhaps it's a situation of opposites attracting. You're paired under the mark of the spider. No? Which one of you is the spider, and which is caught in the web, I wonder?
Oh, so I'm guessing... Yeah. Ash raised her for a shiver and was pleased to find that it didn't come. She silently celebrated victory as she continued to watch the interaction.
Neither. Mark reading is purely nonsense. More importantly, who are you?
This is Nyssa. She's a graduate from the same class as Hector.
Ah, and you are?
Ash.
The woman's eyes snapped back to Ash, now gleaming with recognition. Ash tried to casually hide her hand behind her back. Nyssa nodded curtly, looking away.
Ash here is correct. I was in Hector's class. I graduated as a poison and venom specialist. Were it not for Hector, I would have been top of my class. I would have been the top of any class in the last 10 years if not for him. It is hard to believe he still performed so well amidst his... how shall we say? Antics.
Antics?
It's hard to believe his reputation is not so well remembered. Likely for the best.
Ash waited for Nyssa to explain further, but she merely grew silent instead.
Venom and poison specialist, how is that useful?
An ignorant question. Surely you are aware that most mundane medicines are a poison of one sort or another, if used improperly. The same holds true for poisons. In the appropriate application of a venom or poison, one can heal. My partner is a masterful healer. Combined, I would argue we are the most prominent healers on the continent.
Isn't Hector a knock specialist? Doesn't that mean he has the same speciality as you?
Nyssa tried to hold back a scowl.
Admittedly, in a way he does. But claiming to be a knock specialist is like claiming to be a magic specialist. It is claiming specialization in an enormous category. It's a ridiculous title. That having been said, I have no doubt that given whatever he is, he could replicate what I do, and more.
What he is?
I should not have said that. It was rude of me.
As the din of the crowd grew, Nyssa looked about, then turned back to Ash.
I must take my leave, as... enlightening as this was, I would rather not suffer the fallout due from the heads.
She slinkered away, a shape half hidden behind the pillars of the courtyard, falling into step immediately behind her. Scanning the pillars, Ash realised with a start that the cook from earlier was there, the one who had given her the extra helping. The cook's eyes fell not on the fresh pair, not on Karud, but on herself. She started towards him, but the crowd broke her line of sight, and in the faintest flutter of a heartbeat, he was gone. Ash wheeled around, trying to follow the boy's path.
How long do you think before the heads show up and kick us out?
Ash turned to Elfnan and Belinda, who were still speaking with giant enthusiasm. Oddly appropriate that the oldest students should end up paired.
I doubt much longer.
As though life were some sort of cosmic play and the words were an actor's cue, the heads arrived.
Where is he?
Ash had never seen such a raid in Luciana. She had always been the voice of reason between the two. Zachariah was manic. In a sense, she was actually smiling.
You! What are you doing here? To your room!
She shouted at a passing student observer.
You!
His eyes locked with Ash.
Somehow I feel I should have known you were a part of this. I am sorry for your issues with your mark, but you cannot be involved in things like this. You must leave immediately.
Luciana's head snapped to Prudence. Zachariah stepped towards the group, practically cooing as she spoke.
Hector is to be punished. When we catch him, we will strip him of his magic. As his pair, you will suffer the same fate.
No, Zachariah! I cannot do so much, not to her!
No, you cannot.
Hector had returned, though from where he had come, Ash could not say. A backpack and a sword that pained, Ash's eyes shimmering either white or black as the light struck were all he carried.
You dare to bring such a thing here?
Hector slid the blade free and held it point directly at Zachariah.
You touch her and you will see exactly how much I dare.
Venom dripped from his every syllable with a noxious toxicity that seemed to leave the air stained with malice.
Hector, let's get out of here!
We're coming too.
Yeah!
You steal our students now, Hector. Do you truly intend to try to overthrow the orders?
Boy, you think yourself strong, but you have no concept of the true power we hold.
That sounds ominous.
Believe me, girl, it is. I do not boast, but Hector, we have never really tried to harm you. Do not doubt we could.
I have no interest in your order anymore. There's so much more out there, up there. I am done here.
For a moment, they all merely stood, Ash readied herself for the coming fight. Instead, Zachariah turned away slowly.
Get out! Now!
As glow began to burn within her, Ash felt as much as she could see it.
Enhancement magic. Is that all of which a head is capable?
I will snap you in half, boy.
I would love to see...
He did not finish words as Bruce gagged him violently and began to lead the small party's retreat.
We're leaving. Thank you, heads.
Oh god, guys. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.